Bodycount is a 2011 first-person shooter developed by Codemasters and is pretty much the spiritual successor to 2006's Black, as it was made by many of the same developers in a similar style, just at a different company, and while I've heard many good things about Black, I have yet to play it for myself, and from what I've seen of gameplay footage, it definitely looks superior to Bodycount. Bodycount is, well, super bare bones and generic. That's all there is to it, really. The story is super bland and barely even exists. Something about a civil war in Africa and robots, I think. I don't know. Half the game takes place in Africa, the other half in Asia. That's what I do know. Where to even start my review? I guess the weapon selection. This game was described as having a, and I quote, mouth-watering selection of contemporary firearms, and the arsenal turned out to be kinda petty. You have 10 weapons, most of which are pretty basic firearms, with only the robot blaster and grenade launcher really standing out even a little. And to make matters worse, half the weapons aren't really that good in my opinion, and after unlocking the grenade launcher and LMG, I just use those for the rest of the game. I mean, sure, the weapons do have differences, like differing in range, accuracy, mag size, damage, etc., but I simply found the light machine gun to be the best firearm and the grenade launcher a nice secondary. Ammo is dropped by fallen foes, and I had a recurring issue where sometimes I'd press the reload button and it wouldn't register, leaving me to have to frantically mash the X button multiple times before this game realized I was pressing it. And no, this was not an issue with my controller, as my X button is working just fine in other games. Needless to say, I didn't appreciate this too much. Now, this game did have a couple combat features that stood out a little bit, like landmines for one, which is your secondary grenade. In most games, when you place a mine, you only place one. But in Bodycount, you place 3 mines in close proximity to each other when you toss one, which was a pretty cool feature if you ask me. This game also had a power system, charged by collecting blue intel orbs dropped by dead enemies, and you have 4 powers in total: temporary invincibility and increased movement speed, incendiary bullets, which add damage to your rounds, some sort of a pulse wave needed to defeat the final boss, and an airstrike, which really wasn't that useful in most situations. The only one of these that I regularly used was the invincibility power, which was very handy in intense prolonged firefights, which this game has many of. As far as enemy variety goes, Bodycount did actually excel a little bit here, as it has a pretty decent sized variety of foes, like basic foot soldiers, but also snipers, giant juggernauts with miniguns, humanoid alien robot things, bandits who lay landmines and steal intel, etc. Changing topics, one thing that got on my nerves a little bit was how you can't move while aiming down your sights, something that I'm seldom a fan of in gaming. I guess the last major thing to mention about this game is that you're given a score at the end of each level based off how well you performed, like how many enemies you felled and your largest skill kill combo, with skill kills being stuff like headshots or explosive kills. Graphically, the game does actually look pretty good in my opinion, but the soundtrack is just meh to me. And that does largely sum up Bodycount. There's just not a lot to it. The single player experience is about 4 hours long, and yeah, that's it. Believe it or not, the MP servers are still up, but they're empty to no one's surprise. While Bodycount wasn't an awful experience, it wasn't a great one either, and it earns itself a 6.9 out of 10 by my grade scale. I paid like maybe $5 for a used copy, a manageable price, but I feel sorry for anyone who bought this for full price at launch. As far as similar games I'd suggest, I don't know. Nerf Legends, maybe? Again, I never played Black, which this game is based off of. Anyways, that's all for me for today, y'all. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And I'm starting something new for my reviews, being adding a Bible verse of the day, and today's is Galatians 6:9 from NIV. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. As always, none of my content is made by AI, I make my own stuff, and I don't consent to my likeness and voice being modified and replicated by AI in any way. Have a good one, Jesus loves you all, peace.